How you guys doing? I'm going to show you guys a caddis pattern that worked really well for me on the Missouri River. Last year I had an amazing year, getting excited about tying up flies for 2024. So this is one of them that I need to fill back up in my box a number of times. When I moved over from the Dillon area, I used to use a lot of Elk caddis and higher floating bugs, and this one's definitely a lower floating bug. Looks a little bit like the corn-fed caddis, a little bit like maybe harrops, but anyway, it just worked really well. A lot of times we'd be fishing and folks would try some of their standard caddis patterns, and when we threw this one on, it really worked. So I might call it the code cracker caddis, because it was definitely a code cracker for us. So yeah, with that said, we'll get going on this pattern and show you. Okay, so here's some of the materials. I know everybody wants to see the material list. I'm just using, it's a wider gap hook for a dry fly, so I've been using these Tiemco 101s for my dry flies. I'm going to be throwing some biots on this, so I get some dark olive goose biots. We tie this thing in, I'll say tan, brown, and a green with an basically a gray wing. That's what we're going to tie first. I'm using Semperfly. This is actually 18-aught, which is, it's just crazy how strong this stuff is. I started using it. Doesn't cut really easy with scissors. Sometimes I'll actually kind of knife it through to get it to cut, but it's so strong. Been using it for the Comparadun to, anything where you have to cinch something down, and it's amazing. Like I said, what an 18-aught would use. I'm using Antron for the tail and an underwing. It's just a dark olive. So we'll start with that. And what I've been doing is using about half. That was a little curly, so I'm just going to get something that's a little bit less. So just going to split it in half here. And we'll pop that on for the tail. There we go. Get rid of the extra and trim it to size. So we're going to start with the biot next. And I like the concave side sitting up, but these things, what I'm trying to get is that just a little bit of a flared look when you wrap it. And you go about a third of the way up the hook. Be as gentle as I can in the beginning, because it's kind of the smallest piece. And it didn't flip to the right side. So I'm just going to hope that I can get it to turn. You'll know when you see it. There it is. I think that's it there. And there we go. First little flare. And then you're going to use about the whole biot just to get it down all the way. That's about it right there. And we'll just tie it off. And don't want to cut my thread. Alright, we'll just clean it up a little bit. Even though I'm making a lot of wraps, this thing is so small it doesn't really put a lot of bulk on it. So just going to grab the other half of my tail feathers here, and this is going to be the underwing. And I'm going to trim that to size. And I'm going to say 2 of these CDC oiler puffs. It's usually about right. Maybe 3. Depends on how thick, but I've been seeing that 2 would probably do it and float it real nice. And that's really what you want, is you want a fly for this caddis that looks realistic. Missouri's a pretty flat surface, and they got, not tons of time to look at it, but they've got some time. With that flatter surface, I've just noticed that this kind of pattern that rides a little bit lower in the water is pretty key. So that's your CDC. And then I'm just gonna pick, you know, a few of these feathers to top it with, and you know, these things just have a really good caddis look to them. So I'll just remove the under feathers there. And usually two of these kind of just laying on top of each other gives that caddis a nice looking wing. Looks pretty darn natural to me. Alright, so we'll just size it up. And I just want it to lay flat on top. Like I said, I'm looking for about a third. It might turn, and if it does, we'll fix it. Alright. About right. All right, still really low profile, good looking underbody there. And next, this is what I'm adding this year. I'm gonna put a little bit of high vis post on this. I'm not gonna tie it like a parachute, but just need something to see. I had a number of times where man, the fly was working, but people couldn't see it, or myself couldn't see it. And so this is not going to be a really high post. It's not going to change the profile. I'm actually going to cut it super short. As I wrap around, sometimes I go one more time around the fly there just to hold it, because you'll notice if you let go of this, it'll slip on you. But all I'm looking for is that thing to kind of sit up straight. And like I said, I'm going to cut it super short. I just want something to be visible there. And I've got some whiting hackle here. Just going to choose something, not going to go real big with it. 16, maybe an 18 size. I'm going to trim the bottom of it anyway. Alright, almost done. We're just going to cover all this up. And a little tricky here. Sometimes it wants to slide down the slope there. That will give us what we need. Take this out, clean it up slightly, and I'm just going to sneak, I don't put any glue on here. Just going to sneak a couple whip finishes in there. Give it one more. Make sure it doesn't fall apart on us. And then anything that got trapped, we're just going to clean that up. And what I do is I take a little V-notch out, which I want this to ride pretty flush in the water. So there it is. That's my code cracker. And man, green was working good, tan and brown. And I'll tie this down. This is a 16. I'll definitely tie it in 18s as well. And like I said, I did it without the colored post last year, but it was really tough to see. I don't think the fish from the bottom are going to be able to see that. And so that's it. That's what I was going for. And without this orange post, it was amazing. So I really don't think that orange post is going to show up to the fish at all, but pretty good looking fly that I guarantee catches super selective fish like you see on the Missouri. This is pretty unreal. Caddis here. Just absolutely crazy. Look at that. Give my friends a rest. Got fish right there. Eating these caddis.
I'm gonna go downstream and see. Found one. Okay. Take that hook out. Corners of the mouth.